Welcome to Daycare Chronicles 101, and I am your host, Miss Tanya. Not at all whatsoever. I ain't got time for that.
Thank you so much for being in the Daycare Chronicles 101.2 Clubhouse room tonight, where the topic is the relationship between parents and providers. And I would first like to introduce myself. I am Tanya Muhammad. I am Daycare One Consulting, Inc. I am the CEO. I have a podcast. I have a book. I have a YouTube channel. All things Daycare Chronicles 101. I have an online course, how to open and operate a family daycare facility. I want to start this off by saying the first thing that a provider should do is, when it comes to this, any questions that you want to ask a parent, ask them in the orientation. Through that's your discovery period right there. You will find out so much during that orientation when you're doing that with that client. Just like they're asking you questions, you need to ask them questions. Because I know we all have a list in our head, or it's written down somewhere, of things that we will accept, will not accept, will tolerate, won't tolerate. And when it comes to working in our homes, my number one thing is I am not going to be stressed out in my home. I am self-employed. I work from home. I will not keep a child or a parent that stresses me out. However, on the other side of that, there are 7 B's of effective communication with parents. Hi, Sylvia. Nice to see you. Jakia, Samira, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. The 7 B's of effective communication with parents. Be interested. The parent needs to know that it's not just all about the daycare. It's not just all about you, your facility, that you care, that you're interested in how they're rearing their child at home, their child's behavior at home, that you're interested in their needs, what they want the child to get from your program. A lot of times, and I know this, and I'll say this, you all can raise your hand at any time to come on up. A lot of times, parents don't know what they want, and they will come in because they like what they see. They will come in, they will see this beautiful facility. They will see the beautiful, outside. They will just like what they see visually and be like, okay, this is where I want my child to be. And you're talking to them and they're just totally disconnected. So you have to find a way to keep them engaged. It's not about just what you see. I know a provider that has beautiful facilities, but the children can't play with nothing. When you walk into her facility, she has this beautiful dollhouse, beautiful. They better not touch it. So it's not all about what you see. And so you have to engage the parents. Find out, what are your expectations for your child in my facility? And listen to what they're saying. Take notes on what they're saying, because they may be saying some things that you don't offer, or some things that maybe you hadn't even thought of offering. And they may, be like, oh, well, that's an idea. Maybe I can do that. But this is your time to where, during this orientation, that you should be really listening. Of course, you're selling. You're selling your facility. You're selling your business. You want that child in your facility for the most part, if you think the child fits. So you're going to definitely give them, the best tour ever. And you have to be humble. A lot of times providers, when parents come in and we're doing the orientation, we know everything. And we may know a whole lot. However, you have to be humble and let the parent express some things as well, because you never know what you're going to learn during this conversation. So when you approach parents with an attitude of curiosity and humility, parents are more likely to, approach you and maybe seek suggestions, or, you have clients that'll call you because they love you and they feel like, you have knowledge in this, but you're approachable. You always want to be approachable. You never want to be, oh my gosh, well, I don't want to disturb her. Well, I want to call her, but then I don't want her to be mad. You never want that. because you do have some clients that feel like you have the best facility for them, but then they don't necessarily like every characteristic that you have. And that's a fact, because I have had that happen. You want to be respectful. The parents are the child's first teacher. So even if you like disagree with something, you still have to be respectful about it. I'll give you an example. I had a parent who was adopting a little boy. The little boy had a pacifier. She didn't want him to have the pacifier. She had got him from foster care and whatnot. So he was here a few weeks. She's like, well, I don't want him to have it anymore. So she just stopped sending it. Well, you didn't wean him off of it. So she was like, well, I don't want him to have it anymore. But you didn't wean him off of it. And I'm not going to listen to him cry all day long for this pacifier. Why don't you start that process over the weekend? So she thought about it, and, she was like, yeah, I can understand that. So, there was a compromise there. I was humble. I was respectful of her wanting to get him off. However, just to take something from somebody, you're talking about a child. So I gave her another way to do it. And she agreed. So she started on the weekend. And when he came on Monday, he just fussed a little bit, but she had did the hard part over the weekend. I'm not going to do the hard part for you. It's unfair to me. It's unfair to the child. It's unfair to the other daycare children that are in here. And then you also have to be inviting. We can't assume that the families always want to hear us. We want to hear them too. So we need to engage with them and not just be, like I said, unapproachable. Be inviting. They're giving us their children all day long. They're trusting us with their children all day long. We can at least be inviting and respectful to them. Now, there are going to be times, and I'm sure I got some stories and y'all got some stories too. Some of them just don't make the cut. So, and another thing too, when you're, communicating with the parents, some people use the app. Wait, I'm sorry, Sheena. Hold on. Welcome, Sheena, Miss Tiny Toes Learning Center. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you to everyone in the room. I just want to reset it. Tonight's meeting is about the relationship between parents and providers. So a lot of providers use Brightwheel, and there's like a ProCare. There's all these apps that you use. And like, I send everything that way. Well, some parents may not really be into that. So you should have different ways of communicating. For me, I know that everybody has their cell phone, with them for the most part. And I'll just send out a text message or something like that. There's nothing wrong with the other apps or whatnot, but as long as they're using them and they're looking at them, I stopped putting notes in their bags because they don't look. They don't read. Well, I don't even allow bags in the house anymore. But they weren't looking at them. They were, oh, I didn't know she needed diapers. I didn't see the note in the bag. So this way, for me, if I see that a child needs something, I'm automatically texting you, letting you know. Automatically before my 55-year-old brain forgets. So there needs to be several ways of communication. If a parent doesn't respond or whatnot, then maybe this parent likes email. You find out what works best for that parent. And if you can, then that would be the best mode of communication so that you can make sure you all have a good relationship because you have their child all day long. And we have to, be a good listener. Be positive, Once you've been burned a few times, it's kind of hard, because you can see some things you can just see coming your way. And I will say this, in my experience, my humble experience, it's always been the clients that you go above and beyond the call of duty for, that want to act a fool, break your heart, and just be crazy about it sometimes. I can tell y'all some stories, let me tell you. But the respect will help you better understand, the parents, their careers. And then also, it's really important too to find out, where does your client work? What type of work does they do? What time do they get off? I mean, you never know. You may have a client that has a very, very stressful job, whatnot. I don't cross boundaries. I don't want to know your personal business, but I do need to know what may affect daycare. So with that being said, Sheena, are you available?
Hello, everyone. I am so sorry. I hit the button on the accident.
Oh,
I
it's okay.
apologize, but I will just say this and be very quick. I do think that we should have a special relationship with our parents. I feel like our parents should always be on the same page as us because we have their children throughout the day more than they do. So it always should be a certain form of respect that the parents should have for us. Because when you said that, not everybody's going to make the cut, and I can totally agree with that. Sometimes the ones that you go above and beyond for, I'm telling you, they will bite you every time. I've been there, done that. So I'm very strict and stern when it comes to my parents and my rules and my contract. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I have someone that has raised their hand. Let me see if I can bring her up. I know that I'm trying to find a nice way to say this. Every parent does not fit your program. And my way of getting out of it is saying, I'm not able to meet your needs of you and your child. Your contract needs to be so thorough that it covers everything. And a lot of times you have to add things to your contract when they happen. And that is how we build our contracts. Because if you've never had it happen, then you may not even see the need for it. I had to say, okay, no beads at the daycare. I never thought I would have to say that. But you got children that it's a choking hazard. Well, why can't my child wear beads? It's in the contract because it's a choking hazard. Well, why can't my child wear open toe sandals? Because it's a hazard. They can scuff their little toes up. They can fall. I need closed toe, closed heel. Send me a tennis shoe every day. So your contract needs to be very, very detailed. And don't allow the clients just to sign and be like, girl, I want him in here. I want him in. No, hold up. I got a contract and I need you to read it or we can go over it together. We all grown, so I'm pretty sure you can read. Read it. If you have any questions, you can call me and ask me about it. But I need you to read this contract because I need you to know that I am serious and I will enforce everything in this contract. And so sometimes when you have those clients that you just become friends with, just chummy with, they think that they don't have to follow the rules. No, that's where the problem starts. You still have to follow the rules. Stick to the guidelines. My cousin came in today. Her little girl had on sandals. I said, hey, you must have forgot. No sandals allowed. No open toe. They're cute as a button, but no open toe shoes at daycare. And this is why. It's in the contract and you signed it. So a lot of times parents will like what they see and just go ahead and sign that contract. And then when you have to enforce it, well, I didn't know that. Well, it's in the contract. Well, I didn't see it. Well, here it is right here. Let me screenshot it to you. And here's your signature. You are rearing someone else's child in your facility. We have them, for the most part, longer than what they have them during the week. We are that surrogate parent that's there, as well as we are the teacher. We are the doctor. We're everything to these children all day. And so the parents should show us some respect. And I'm going to say this, and I hope that no one gets offended by it. The clients that are on the program seem to be the ones that always want to complain, always got an issue, and always want to know why you're doing what you're doing. In my experience that I've had. And my thing is that I'm doing the best for your child in my care. And you don't even have to pay $1 for daycare. That's a blessing within itself. So let's see what we can do to even see where we can get you to get to the next level to where you want to be. Don't become complacent. So a lot of times we not only parent the children, we parent the parents. Can I get an amen, y'all? An amen,
Amen.
an
Amen.
amen, an I mean. Thank you, Angela Van. She said, yes, all of this is true. Thank you, Jakia. Yes, yes. So we become so much to them and they become to rely on us that they think that we're their nanny. Yeah, no, we're not your nanny. There's other children here. Yeah, this is daycare. This is childcare. I am not your nanny. And parents have a way of making you feel guilty too. You know, they'll throw the sob stories on you. So that's why I don't cross boundaries. Now, if you have a client that you know maybe is a single mom, she's working hard and all that, and maybe she was late a couple of times, you're like, looky here, girl, do we need to change your hours? What do we need to do? What can I do to help you? That is good communication with your client. But then you have that client that may come to the door and she late and she just don't give a damn. Come on, boy. Come on here. I'm here to pick him up. First of all, I need you to get off your phone when you come up in here. That's a pet peeve of mine. When the parents come and they on their phone. Yeah, no. I need you to get up off that phone and pay attention to your child and to me, because you don't know if I may have something to tell you, but your child hasn't seen you all day. You need to give your child that attention and that love because they missed you. You need to show them that you missed them as well. So I have a rule, no cell phones. Once you step on my porch, no cell phones. I will not open my door until you finish your call if you're on your cell phone because it's rude. Your child deserves better than that. I have in my contract, you all, I have a brochure that I give everyone as well as my contract, but it says, parents, I want all of us to have a very open and respectful relationship. If for any reason you have a concern or comment, please feel free to call me or write me a note if needed. Now, why did I feel the need to put this in my contract? Because I had some experiences. That's why. And I want to make sure that parents understand that it's an open door policy, that you can communicate with me. And if something happens and you don't like it, let me know. I have an assistant. If the baby wasn't changed properly or if something wasn't in the bag, let me know because maybe I didn't do it. Maybe my assistant did, and it's something that I need to correct. But the parents need to know that you are approachable, that you do love and you do care. However, disrespect is never okay. Never okay. And most times that happens when you're about to terminate or when you've given that termination letter or if their child has been bitten. The biting is like the worst. A biter is just a nightmare right there. And some parents understand, this is the developmental age, this is what they do or whatnot. But no parent wants to have their child sit home with a bite mark. No provider wants to even have to deal with that. That's like the worst nightmare ever. So the biter has to stay close to you, and you talk to the parents about it and they're like, oh, well, that's how he plays with his brother or his dad. Well, he needs to stop because he's a daycare. You have to be straightforward, but kind and respectful to your clients. Because again, we have their most prized possession all day, every day in our care. The liability of what we do as providers is so great. And no one ever really talks about it, but it is. It takes one mistake, one accident, one false accusation to change your whole life. So with all the fun and things that we do on a daily basis, that needs to be the forefront. Safety first. Thank you, Angela Van. I am just so grateful for all of you being here. Do any of you have anything that you would like to say, comment, a story that you would like to share, and what you did to put in place so that it never happens again? I would love to hear from you all. This is not just about Miss Tanya. I want to hear your stories because I know you got some. Because we all do the same thing. Okay. I have someone coming up now. All right. Thank you all for coming up. Miss Angela, thank you for
Hey,
coming up.
hey, yes, good evening, everybody. I'm Angela Van, and I have a family child care home in Dallas, Texas. I'm located in Dallas, Texas. But
Okay.
one of the questions I wanted to ask you was, with the situation, with the parent and the child. The child is developmentally delayed, but the parent don't want to recognize that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been really a big issue because I've been trying to, push it toward her to get that early childhood intervention for him. So maybe it won't be so bad if we catch it at an early state. but she just, just in a state of denial, and then she's so far in that state of denial that it's just she's very rude and very disrespectful. And I had a termination letter for her, but my concern is the kiddo. And and I want to see the best for him because he does need that assistance. I mean, if I want to know, if how would you handle that, or have you had a situation, or like that or similar to that?
Thank you so much for coming up and sharing that. I see that you are a retired combat Army warrant officer. Who is fooling around with you? I will say that yes, I have had that happen. And this is what I do. As long as the child fits my program, as long as I can meet the needs of the child can stay. If the parent refuses to get any help or is in denial, then you may have to terminate. You may have to let that child go because you're going to do that child a disservice, keeping that child there if you cannot meet the needs. Now, if the child is disrupting the daycare, if the child has behavioral issues, or is it just that you're noticing that the child may possibly be on the spectrum? Can you tell me a little bit about what's going on with the child?
Yes, of course. He is on the spectrum. He is, and mom is in denial. And I find, and mom is an educator. And I find that those parents are like really are the hard ones to accept those. And, and I've come to her many occasions saying, that, I mean, he didn't start walking till almost 20 months. He just started putting two words together, and he's almost 3. He repeats, and he have outbursts. He just throws himself out. We have to be very watchful of him because he will just bump his head, just run his head into a chair or a table. Let her know these things and ask her if are those things happening at home. And I'm always asking, how do you handle this? What does he do at home? Let us know. And whatever you're doing there, maybe we can do it here, since you say he doesn't, since you seem to think he doesn't have any issues. So you must be doing something. Let us know. Maybe we can do it here, but there's never, any solution or anything to work with us. It's just always against us. He has a mom. This is her explanation. He has a mom. I'm a kindergarten teacher and he's doing okay. And I know he's not. And dad knows he's not, but they're not married, not together. She has sole custody. So he kind of, just goes with her. And we are able to handle it. I don't want to see him, taken out, moved just to be somewhere, put somewhere, and not get the assistant and not get the resources and help he needs. So, and that's one of the reasons. And my background after I retired from the military is education and special education. It was my specialty. So, my heart is with the kiddo. I can kind of put up with most of her stuff, the mom, but
Mm-hmm.
the issue is that I want to make sure that the kiddo get the help and the resources that he need, because moving forward and he's getting older, it is not going to be easy.
Well, I'm going to say this. I take my hat off to you. It sounds to me that you give the mother a letter and you give her a time frame and you tell her you have within a certain amount of time to take him and get him assessed. Let his pediatrician know, take him to the regional center, whatever it may be. But if he does not have an assessment by then, because he needs, you know what he needs. This is your specialty. Your heart is going out to this child. I understand it. But it sounds like this is not the place for him. He needs more than what you're able to give him at the daycare. Did any of you want to chime in on that? My cousin Samantha up here, we got the same last name. My maiden name was Boyd. Miss Samantha, Natanya, you all, any of you want to say anything?
Yes. Good evening. I truly feel you, Angela. I truly feel you. But my issue, and it just started like I think it was last Thursday. I have this same little boy who I've had him since he was 6 weeks old, and I just see that there's a behavior issue with him. He, it's like lately he's getting so if you don't answer him, that's when he reacts out. And I know, we can't tell the mom, well, hey, you need to really spend more time with them. That's what I really want to tell her because she started business doing hair. But he picked up the toy and he gashed a child in the eye. Of course, the mom, it just went, and I understand, but now, the state's involved. So I had to get all that. And I suspended him, suspended him for a day. But he just came back today because his parents, I told him, I said, not coming back till we have a conference. Well, they thought I was joking, and just because, like she said, that one parent that you just do the most for, and I just told her, not no more. You don't show up, he doesn't come back. He comes back today and bite one of my before and after kids. Did not break.
Mm-mm.
I said, listen here, I can be the
Ooh.
nicest, but I think you're taking advantage. And I really did not want to get rid of this kid because he graduates. I recommended that she send him to school early this year, trying to be nice. I've offered her a program for behavioral. She won't take it because it says mental health. But I told her the people are coming in our home as well because we're family child care provider. They're coming in our home for 4 weeks and in hers. She said no. So I came up today and I was like, God, I just can't do this. Either I can't do it anymore, but I don't want to be jeopardizing of losing my source of income because the one child he busted in the eye last week, her mom is pulling her. Now you done bit another one. I can't lose all my kids for this one kid whose mom, if she take them, she's not gonna care. I just see the selfishness. She's, all I'm like, I'm at my end's rope, God. What do I do? I'm trying to help this kid. But after being off all them days, he was scared to death yesterday for conference. He come back doing the same thing. He come back worse. I said, what happened?
Terminate.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
I
Terminate.
just,
You
yeah.
you thinking too far into it, baby. If me, I take it from me. I've dealt with that situation before, and I have to terminate. And the reason being now is because beforehand, I have a center. And so I was always that owner that wanted to help until I realized that this parent can take this child today, go enroll in another center, and all that help that I did, all that stress that I put on my staff to try to save one child, not only has drained my staff, but it has also changed the environment in my whole entire classroom. So now I have the model of I'm not going to sacrifice all for one. And when one leaves, some more gonna come. So I'm not even up for saving kids. Some kids we just can't handle. We as providers, we try to take on a lot of responsibilities. As she stated beforehand, it's like we're surrogate parents, but we still have to operate as a business. We put the love into it. We love the kids. We try to be understanding and show empathy to the parents. But at the end of the day, we have to look out for ourselves because those parents are not going to come in the classrooms and help you when you're short. They're going to complain if you have to close for certain things. So I say, and my motto is, I love the kids and the kids are first, but I also have to think about my staffing and my mental health.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with that. Thank you so much for that. I had a client who she worked for the court system. So when the child had behavioral problems or whatnot, and they were, in foster care or whatnot, she would be the one at the courthouse with them. Now she needed to be with her own child. So I had to sit down with her. She had a PhD. And I was like, there's something here with her. She's like, do you think? And this is what she said. She said, I'm so close to it that I'm blind to it. I see this all day, every day. And she didn't see it in her own child. She did not see it in her own child. So, yeah, I don't keep any child that stresses me out. I don't keep any child that I am not able to meet their needs. I wish I had my baby Noah's mom on here. Noah was my autistic baby, and his mom is a nurse. And Noah started at the age of 3, his behavior changed. So he needed ABA therapy, and it was just a whole lot going on. He wasn't getting it, and it just came to where he just became a little violent, and I had to terminate. I cried because his mother was so sweet. She cried, I cried, but she did not get him the help he needed until I terminated. We still text and talk. She still sends me videos. He went to another facility, but I mean, it broke my heart, but I had to do what I had to do because I knew that I could not meet his needs. This is family daycare. This is not one-on-one right here. So I have Miss Natanya up here. Miss Natanya.
Good evening, ladies. I have a small daycare in Oakland, California, but I have 10 years experience working with children with autism on all levels from kinder up until 8th grade. So just insight, when you do have a kid that is autistic or has on the spectrum or maybe nonverbal or even uses sign language, this is something that has to be one-on-one regardless. And that's because that child needs to develop in a way that the other kids aren't. So they need that one on one. For the nonverbal kid, I had a kid that was nonverbal in my school, and he ended up speaking once he was like 4, but I was with him one on one. And his mother said because of that is why she said he developed the way he did. But the one thing I will say about kids with autism, you have a lot of children that may act out because they can't express how they're feeling. And so it's just a really sensitive subject and a sensitive topic, especially with parents who are bringing their children to your daycare, because they're kind of like, well, are you sure? Or you just don't want my kid? No, I want the best for your child. And that's the biggest thing. I do specialize with autism, but I also tell parents it's best that they have one-on-one attention, because with daycare, it can be a little overwhelming with sounds, with shapes, with colors. Everything can be a little bit much, but I would definitely say autistic children, if you notice it early, definitely bring it up to the parent, definitely support them in ways that you can. And I've always told parents, these are resources. Call them. Help. They can help you. They can help you financially. They can help you physically, and all these things. So that was just my 2 cents as far as dealing with children with autism. Thank you, ladies, so much.
Thank you, Natanya. I will say this, Natanya just celebrated her 1 year anniversary being a provider. And I am so proud of her.
Thank you so
Okay.
much. Oh.
So proud of her. Angela, have you heard anything that just kind of, because you already know what you need to do?
I do, and thank you, Natanya, for chiming in there. You said, a lot, and I do, and I did, talk with the mom and dad separately, and and recommend that they get the early childhood intervention. Whether here they can have it here in Texas, they'll give it to them in their child care center home, and they can have it at home too. But it's just that realization, that not wanting to deal with that right now, to see that, hey, my child does have something going on. But like Miss Natanya, you were saying, the earlier you catch it, hey, the better it can be. Then we can do something with it. And we need that one-on-one. And here I have an assistant, but it's just us two, and we can't give that one-on-one that he really needs. So yes, thank you for all your input.
You are so very welcome. That's what this group is about. I just wanted to ask all of you here that are in the audience if you would like to share something that has happened to where you have had to create a rule or a policy so that it does not happen again. Because I remember when I started daycare, I was 23, so my contract wasn't that big. Now it definitely is, because for everything that happened, you create a rule or regulation so that it doesn't happen again. And if you have a client that in the morning you see this client coming and you just like, Lord, who help me, help me, help me, Lord. That's a client you don't need to have. I'm not keeping anything and anybody that does not bring peace. I will try my best to do what I can. Like Bernexia said, you can't save everybody. My husband tells me that all the time. Tanya, you can't save the world. You can't save everybody. It's just in our hearts, because it's what we do. We're good people. We love children. And I will say that, again, as long as I can meet the needs of the child can stay. I'm big on sensory. My baby Noah was a tapper. So he took the measuring spoons, the little plastic measuring spoons, and he would just tap. That was his thing. Not understanding, I wasn't understanding that he was really catching on. Then one day he just started talking, singing the ABCs, singing his numbers, being able to recognize them. And then two, even with the other children, quote unquote, the regular children, sensory is so good for them. Quiet time, meditation time. We have a time every day to where I bring out their books, their journals, their dry erase boards, whatever it is, and I'll put on some meditation or yoga music, and we take about 5-10 minutes, and we're sitting there, and they're drawing, and they're quiet, and they're coloring, whatever they're doing. That's important for the children as well, to teach them to calm themselves. And then sometimes we need that too, as well. But I just wanted to come on tonight because I know that, sometimes parents can be difficult, but sometimes providers are difficult too. Sometimes providers can be difficult too. And sometimes we're not understanding because you can get complacent and set in your ways. But I will say that for years, everyone in my daycare, I would say they got there. I had children always came at 6 o'clock. This past year, they're coming in at 8:30 and 9. I am up, ready to go because my brain is triggered. Like, okay, you're up at 5. You got to be ready by 6 for the first client to come. My first client gets here about 7:15. The others don't come through to almost 9 o'clock. So I had to rewire myself so that I'm pleasant when I get to that door at 9 because I'm like, you done threw me off schedule. And I said, Tanya, your schedule just changes. Things will not always stay the same. Sometimes you got to switch things up. And sometimes you may have our infants. Sometimes you have toddlers. Sometimes you got school age. Sometimes you got a mixture. We never know what's going to come our way. Being family daycare providers, things can change. Like the seasons change. And you gotta, go with the flow, unless you have certain age groups that you don't keep, and it's always going to be the same for you. I'm not that way. So I have from infant right now up to age 5 that I'm keeping. I'm not doing school age right now because of COVID, but the dynamics have changed. So sometimes you have to change your mindset and be like, okay, this is where we're at now. So that you don't have that attitude like, look, I've been waiting for y'all for 2 hours. Well, I had 2 hours to go outside and set up. I had 2 hours to get ready for what we're going to do for the day, So I just had to switch things up. So don't beat yourself up if things aren't going the way that you want them to go every day. Clients will get on your nerves just like you're going to get on theirs. However, mature clients and mature providers can get past it, especially when you both have the child's interest at heart. Like, that's number one. What does this child need? Am I able to provide this family what they need? And for the most part, if a parent is paying you, that's where they want their child to be. They want their child to be there. And then you have some clients where you almost got to push them out there like, hey, it's time for kindergarten. It's time for this. Well, can you still pick them up? Can you still do that? You do build that bond with them because they trust you. And I've had so many parents that come and say, I just don't trust nobody with my child. And you shouldn't. You need to have a good feeling before you leave your child with anybody, including me. You need to feel that this is right for you and for your child. And that's why I transition in. And that's a whole nother workshop about transitioning children into daycare. I just have a certain way that I do it, and it works for me. And I've been doing it for years. I don't believe in traumatizing children. I don't believe in children being, overstimulated. I feel like we have to take their feelings into consideration as well. How would you feel if you walked into the job for the first day? You don't know nobody. Even as adults, we have a little bit of anxiety, or uncertainty sometimes. How do you think an infant feels, or a child feels, a toddler, when they're coming into your home and they've never been there and their parents are like, okay, bye, see you later. Separation anxiety is real. So you need a client that understands your way, a client that understands your policies, what you have to offer. But then you also need to ask them, what are they expecting from you for their child? And a lot of times we don't ask that question. We just sell our program. We just sell our facility. But you need to ask parents that question. And most of them say, well, I don't know. A lot of them are first-time parents and they don't know. But I tell them, you need to go home and think about it. And we need to have a discussion so that I can make sure that I can meet the needs of you and your child so that we get off to a wonderful start. And with that being said, I appreciate you all. This has been the relationship between parents and providers. Make sure your contracts are solid. Angela, did you want to say something?
Oh, no, ma'am. I was just agreeing.
Okay, okay. Make sure that your contracts are solid. Make sure that you include your parents in your programs. Parents like to be included, even if it's just a donation or if you're calling just to get their advice about maybe an event you want to do or something that you want to do. Include them in that. Let them know that it's more than just them giving you that weekly payment or that monthly payment for their child. Include them in that. Let them know what you're doing with their children. These are some activities that we're doing. Your child needs to work on this. I've noticed that your child, like the other day, I noticed that a child couldn't say words with the letter Y. So I'm telling her mom, pay attention to this. I think she needs speech therapy. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's get that together. Let's get it going. So include the parents. Don't exclude them because they are very important and vital because we have their children. And they need to know that we do value their opinions and we do take into consideration, some things that they may say. I personally don't do holidays. I have a new client and I told her this up front. I'm Muslim. We don't do holidays. I do parties. I do themes. My children have a wonderful experience while they're here. Today, we had a whole laundromat out. We had the Little Tykes, all the Little Tykes laundromat, stove, refrigerator, the Melissa and Doug laundry baskets with all that. And then we even had a little store out. So they had a wonderful day today after lesson and all of that. And, I just let my parents know, like, this is what we're doing. And the children are having a wonderful time. So don't exclude your parents. Let them know what's going on. Include them. And so this new client that I have, she was like, oh, Miss Tanya, such and such is coming up. I'm like, girl, I told you that that's not what I do over here. Oh, you right. But I just thought, no. This is how I do it. So today when she came, her daughter was so excited. She was trying to tell her, all the things that she did today. And I was like, this is what I'm talking about. We make memories all the time, not just on a special occasion. We do it all the time. So make sure your contracts are tight. Make sure that you and your clients, and you can tell if you vibe with somebody or not. You can tell. You can tell if this is going to work and if it's not, if you got that funny feeling in there. And this is another thing that I say to you guys. They say, well, how long is your trial period? It never ends. My trial period never ends because your child could be okay for 6 months. And then next thing you know, they didn't act crazy or you didn't act crazy and they got to go. Or the behavior could change. There could be something there. My trial period never ends. I don't have a trial period at all. It is what it is. Because at any moment, I can give you a notice that says, I'm not able to meet the needs of your child. So I don't want you to think that, oh, well, they've been here for 6 months, so, they're good. Or they've been here for, 2 months, so they're in. No. Anything can happen. Your needs can change, and I may not be able to meet them. Your child's needs may change, and I may not be able to meet them. But try to have, for those that have centers, I know that I've heard that centers have like parent boards and different things like that, like like the PTA at the school, like centers have that just to, keep the parents engaged. And when the parents are happy, we're happy. Their child is happy. And the goal is longevity. You want to have a child, especially in family daycare, until they get ready to go to school. So whatever that looks like, if you get them as an infant, you want to have them for those 5 years. Things happen sometimes and, maybe not, maybe they move or whatnot. But even if you get them at 1 or 2, you want to have them at least for 3-4 years. So keep being great. Keep being amazing. Don't let the client stress you out. If they do, take you a few cleansing breaths. Think about it before you address it. Don't respond to crazy text. I don't respond to crazy text. Let me call you. Yeah, because, it's so many people that want to bully through text and all this stuff. No, I'm grown. I'm going to call you. We're going to talk about this like women. And just don't get caught up in the drama. Sometimes you have clients that want to bring drama, and I'm just like, no, this isn't the facility for you. But for the most part, I would say I've had some amazing clients throughout the years, and I wouldn't be doing this over 30 some years if I didn't love it, and if it wasn't beneficial to me, and if I wasn't changing lives, because I know that I am changing lives just like all of you are. So thank you for being in the room tonight. I pray that you have heard something to help you, to give you a little better understanding, to maybe give you a little more compassion. And Samantha, yeah, I agree. It's time for that child to go. You got licensing in the house. He biting and hitting people in the face. Yeah. And it's sad because we love the children and we want to do the best for them. I thank you so much. This has been the relationship between parents and providers in the Daycare Chronicles 101.2 room. I want to say thank you to everyone in this room tonight. I definitely appreciate you being here. And until next time, the room will close.